plant-based substances, properties that actually shrink fibroids, that actually bring the body back to homeostasis, that actually balance hormones, that restrict and correctly regulate estrogen, and in particular estradiol, which is the most potent of all the estrogens, right? And so when we're talking about estrogen dominance, we're talking about the balance between the ratio between estrogen and progesterone, right? And typically in women, progesterone levels are low and estradiol levels are extremely high. And this has this negative cascade, and estrogen basically attacks cells, diffuses across cell membranes because it's a steroidal hormone, and it attacks mitochondria. Mitochondria is the energy of the cell.
Dr. Amsi, can
Yes.
brilliant breakdown and great introduction. And again, welcome to those who are just joining the call. For those of you who've been here before, you know the format. For those of you who are new to this, this truly is one of the, if not only, forums where people just like you, general members of the public, women who have issues, women in our community can ask questions in the field of endocrinology around female reproductive health and get answers and get solutions. Now, thousands of women have done what you are doing right now. We've helped a lot of women. You can see testimonials, and we'll talk about our website and our products and everything a little bit later on. But I really want to welcome everyone on and remind you that this is a forum where we answer your questions. You give Dr. Ansel a chance, he'll talk the whole time, right? And you guys can sit and listen, and we're okay with that.
I was kind of waffling until I saw some raised hands. But
no worries
there's
at all.
no raised hands yet.
But we do have a question, and we're going to go to a question from, I didn't get names, I'm getting initials, NB.
I'm not
right?
going to take any questions from the chat. I want to see, this is a discussion, right? I have to get strict now. This is a discussion and a Q&A, live Q&A. So I would like you to please unmute your cameras. If you have a question, unmute your camera so I can see who I'm speaking to, and I'll be happy to take your question from a raised hand, and you've orally asking your question.
Now, did someone else was someone else waving to ask a question earlier on that didn't have it up in the app? Because the only question I have on here was from the chat. Okay, no worries. We'll give you guys a minute or so to work out your technical issues.
Whose question was it from the app, from the chat?
I can only guess that it's Nicole B. It's an NB, but Nicole said that she's having problems with her camera. She told me that earlier on.
If you can't unmute your camera, unmute your speaker or your microphone and ask away, Nicole B.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you, Nicole. Beautiful voice.
Okay. I do sincerely apologize. I'm having problems getting my camera to work. But my question is, I wanted to know the fibroid. I've watched some of the videos and things of, like fibroid removal and things of that nature. And I wanted to know exactly what is it comprised of? It seems like I remember someone saying that it was like pus and mucus and tissue and, things of that nature.
Okay, so fibroids are basically muscle tumors. They're comprised of muscle. Like the difference between a fibroid and a cyst is that fibroids are muscles, benign tumors, right? And they are made of muscle.
I see.
Leiomyomatous, right? So it's muscle.
Okay.
So myo means muscle.
So, Dr. Amsi, and let's maybe elaborate a little bit more on that. So, you've answered the question rather succinctly, which is great. And you were alluding to something earlier on in your opening about fibroids. And maybe it's a good point to talk about some of the causes, right? What's behind it? I mentioned estrogen dominance. But how is the body, why is the female body, creating or establishing these fibroids, among other things? What is it in the system? Why is the estrogen impacting the body in such a way that the fibroids, exist in the first place?
So as I was saying, estrogen is a steroidal hormone that when it's properly regulated, it does the body, great. It's part of growing It helps with sexual organs, mammary glands, and the development of breasts, hips, for childbearing purposes. It's critical in a lot of pathways for optimal health, right? It's critical for bone development too. But the problem is that when it's not regulated, i.e. there's an imbalance, it starts to cause or wreak havoc in the body. So as I was saying earlier, so it, as a steroidal hormones, it diffuses across cell membranes and gets into cells and attacks mitochondria. When it attacks mitochondria, it basically lowers the charge, the energy of the cell. And when it does that, that cell now starts to attract. When cells lose their charge or their energy, they attract white blood cells. They actually create or initiate an inflammatory response from the immune system, right? And there are different forms or cardinal stages of inflammation. One of them is dolor, which is otherwise known as pain. One is rubor, which is redness. One is tumor, right? There are others, but tumor is the growth. So cells lose their charge and inflammation ensues, and then there's some proliferation that takes place. Cells that are basically lower charge will proliferate, meaning they will grow. This tissue is muscle, and that's the basic way in which fibroids are formed in the uterus. So there are certain places around the body where there are more estrogen receptors than others, right? And these places are the uterus, the womb, right? In the cervix, in the breast, in the thyroid, on the liver. But with women, there's a most abundance of estrogen receptors are in the womb, right? Reason being for childbirth, right? When women are pregnant, there's an increase in estrone, right? Which is one of the forms of estrogen, and it helps with the expansion of the womb for amniotic fluid or for gestation to take place. Now, because there's so many estrogen receptors, estrogen will flood to that place. When there's an excess in estrogen, they will go to those parts of the body where it can bind to cells and do what they have to do, carry out its function, what it believes is its function, right? And I don't know if I should speak further until we get more questions in.
Well,
he has to regulate me, else I'm just gonna keep on talking, and I may lose some people. I hope some people are taking notes.
Well, I see some pens waggling, so I think people are taking notes. But what I was going to do in lieu of questions, and I think quite something else. So I want to know, show of hands. So you're gonna have to unmute your cameras or let us know who on the call right now has fibroids. This young lady waving over here. Did I get your name? I think that's okay. Nay Roberts. Anyone else? Does anyone else on the call have fibroids? Okay, Ayana. Who is it? Janice. Anyone else?
All right, the Galaxy S8 has fibroids.
Has fibroids, has waved.
Adrian K. Okay.
Okay. So here's what I want to do. Dr. Anton said at the top of the call, listen, guys, don't be embarrassed. The beautiful thing about these forums is that you wouldn't be here unless A, you had fibroids, or you were concerned about fibroids, someone, a loved one has fibroids, and we're here for the discussion. This is what we do. Just want to introduce you to Dr. Keela Jean is on here as well. She's one of our consultants, as well as Coach Aggie. She's on the call as well. And some of our other clients, friends, and patients, I guess is the word we could use. So you really are in safe hands. So I want to go around and ask. We'll start, Ayana. Is that how you say your name, Ayana? How'd you say your name? Unmute your mic, please.
Yeah, that's my name. Hi, everyone.
Hi, how you
Hi.
doing, Ayana?
Ayana.
Ayana, tell us a little bit about your fibroid journey. What's going on with you? Let us know.
Well, I think I'm kind of past fibroids right now. I got diagnosed with adenomyosis.
Right.
Okay.
What happened is that I had a miscarriage, and I had a miscarriage due to the fibroid being bigger than the actual fetus. So when they did the DNC, because they had to do this DNC, they kind of after the DNC procedure was done, the fibroid itself was coming out by itself. So they didn't. They had to go back in and do a myomectomy.
Right. Myomectomy. Yes.
On its own. So I think because of the fact that they had to scrape my uterus without it being healed, because it was in like a 2-month period that they had to scrape my uterus, one for the miscarriage and then for the removal of the fibroid. That pushed me into adenomyosis. So just to explain what it is, I don't know if everybody know what that is. My uterus lining and the muscle is growing together.
Right.
Making my uterus like much bigger than what a regular uterus would be.
Right.
So the only thing they offer for that is hysterectomy, which I'm against. So that's my story.
Okay. So right now you have adenomyosis, which is basically local endometriosis.
You're right. Exactly.
So do you have symptoms that go with that, such as pain?
Oh, yeah. I have. All right. I only have within my menstrual cycle, I only have one pain-free week. So once I am ovulating, I'm in pain. My usual, the lower back, the pelvic, it feels like your bladder is like your womb is on top of your bladder. I vomit every month. I headaches. Everything was consist of with that PPMD, like it's PMS, but 1,000 times worse than PMS. That's what I go through every month when it comes to my menstrual. So this is something I have researched many, because I've been dealing with this for many years. So I researched hysterectomy, I researched fibroids. So my sister just sent me your link, and that's the reason why I'm on the call.
Okay, so let me ask you this real quick. In your research, what did you find?
I haven't found anything. Everything is this hysterectomy.
Any search you do on the internet regarding fibroids, and especially if you use Google, the first 10 pages are going to be ads for surgical procedures. Exactly. We're going to be in the last page. They don't want you to hear what we have to say because the whole thing has been set up, and you'll find more about that. Go ahead, Ayana.
Black Detox on Instagram. I think Chef Aki.
Okay.
I think same. I don't know if it's the same.
Yeah.
But I have seen it on her Instagram, and I was so interested in it, but I missed that meeting at the time. So I'm surprised that it's still about the same thing. So I did research and see you all.
Okay. Yeah. So Chef Aki is one of our colleagues. Very, that's our sister. She used to live here because we're actually in Atlanta, right? We're in Atlanta, Georgia. And Chef Aki, this is her second home now. She actually lives in Belize right now.
Right.
And she just did a retreat. I used to do be a keynote speaker at all her retreats. But I wasn't at this last one. I wish I was. But yeah, so Chef Aki is a great colleague of ours and an ambassador for the Great Black Detox and the Great Black Fibroid Detox as well. So not only do we have the Great Black Fibroid Detox, we also have the Great Black Endo Detox, which is basically, it has the same supplements as the Fibroid Detox, but also has the Endo RX supplement as well. So through my research and me being an herbalist, my formulas actually will dissolve fibroids, right, or provide the body the necessary chemicals or nutrients that dissolve, eliminate tumors, right, that balance hormones and regulate cycles properly, right? So here's one of the and yes, Nicole, we're gonna get back to you. We don't even know if you finished your question yet, right? So we're gonna come back to you in a second. One of the biggest crimes that is committed by health professionals, especially OBGYNs or gynaes, right, is the prescription of birth control to black women and to black girls for basically anything. Anything that's wrong with you, they put you onto birth control. So hormonal imbalance starts from a very young age with black girls, right? By the time they reach to the age of menses, they have hormonal imbalance. And they may have acne, they may be a bit overweight, they may be underweight, but they may be bleeding, and they may have very painful periods or irregular periods where they're on 1 month, off the next, and it's like, there's something wrong with me. They're worried. Their mum takes them to the gynae, and the gynae says, here, get on this thing. Birth control was made, was invented, was formulated for prevention of pregnancy. For that specific reason. It was not invented and formulated to regulate cycles. Now, the way how it prevents pregnancy is by fooling the body into believing it's pregnant so that the body does not ovulate. So a hormone, it causes an endocrine disruption, right? Where the phases of the menstrual cycle do not take place, in particular ovulation, right? So during pregnancy lasts for 9 months, give and take, a week or so, right? 9 months. And then women who do go through pregnancy, they need to convalesce. There's a certain amount of time where you need to rest, to recoup. But when you're on the pill or on birth control, there is no rest. Your body, from the time you start birth control to when you get off birth control, your body is under the stress of no ovulation. And ovulation is a major part in the temperament and the health, mental health, the psychological health, and the physiological health of women. Ovulation is a major part, plays a major role. So when you omit that cycle, that phase consistently, and a lot of girls are put onto birth control from the age of 12 and 13, and they remain on it for years. Now, how does it do? What are the chemicals that are used to fool the body into believing it's pregnant? You have synthetic estrogen, and you have synthetic, what is called progestin, which is a synthetic form of progesterone, right? And they are a lot more potent than what you produce naturally, right? Now, why do so many black women have fibroids? It's because black women and men, right, we have what is known as a genetic polymorphism, right? A genetic polymorphism, which means we have a genetic difference from other races, where we have more estrogen receptor alphas, right? We have more estrogen receptors, and the way how our estrogen receptors receive or process estrogen is way more amplified than everybody else, right? Now, what does that mean in real terms? It means that black women are actually 9.7 times more likely to develop fibroids than white women. So there were papers out there that were saying black women were 2 to 3, then it went up to 4 to 5. But the actual number, most recent numbers, is 9.7 times to have fibroids. And yeah, go ahead.
No. Again, I want to break down. I hope you guys are all taking notes, because I'm taking notes here as well. What I want to do, so Ayana, don't go anywhere. You may have some more questions. I know, we want to make this like a group consultation, because we really want you guys to leave here with some very clear CTA, next steps, actions, because we know we can help you guys. I want to go over to, I think, Nay Roberts. I think you waved and said you had fibroids. Nay, tell us what's going on with you, and if you have any questions, let's see what we can determine from you, Nay. Have you unmuted?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Nay. How you doing?
How you doing, Nay?
Nay, where are you? Are you in the Caribbean as well? I think you said.
No, Islanders, yes. Descendant. I was born in England, actually, but
Okay.
I'm in the States now. I'm in Jersey.
Oh, Jersey. Okay. All right. Welcome.
All right.
Okay.
I think I was about 12, 13 when I got some serious pain at one time, and of course, clueless. I didn't know what it was. And my mom took me to the doctor, and they gave, even now the Advil is like 200 milligrams, right? Per pill. They gave me 600, or was it 800, because the pain was so intense. Then found out that I had cysts. And I was told at one point it was fluid filled and that it would disperse, on its own, and blah, blah, blah. Right, fine. Fast forward a couple years later, the doctor did put me on birth control pills, and I wasn't active. They just put me on it just to put me on it. He said that would help regulate my cycle, and I was doing that, and it seemed like that created more problems for me at some point. And then I've had, I think, 2 or 3 surgeries already to get rid of fibroids. With the last one being about 4 or 5 years ago, I was bowled over at work. I could barely walk. It was so terrible. But I do want to say, with that surgery, the fibroid that he took out, I haven't had that kind of pain since then. But I do feel some pain, coming on now again, recurring. And even when we did the ultrasound after that, it still showed that I had 2 or 3, but very teeny tiny small fibroids that they didn't want to operate on. So I was very cystic at one point, and I had a couple of fibroids, and I just want to be done with this whole thing.
Sure.
I did change my diet, right? I think I've had a session at least once before with the Chef Aki and them, and I just changed it, cutting out a lot of the meat, and that's hard to do. I've recently gone back just a little bit here and there, if I'm to be honest. But I did notice a difference in changing my diet, and I did take 1 or 2 of those supplements before, like I said, a couple years ago, and I did notice the difference, and I just did not go back right and do what I was supposed to do to just completely get rid of it. But
Sure.
I'm ready to do that now, because I am tired of this.
And and thanks for sharing that. And that's very typical. And here's the thing I wanted to say at the top of this call, guys, is that there's this maybe subconscious, maybe it's subliminal in terms of it's like a psychological thing based upon how society looks at us and ailments, right? It's not your fault you have fibroids, but you have the cure, right? It's your fault, right? If you don't get rid of them, okay? Your body has the power to heal itself, okay? We just haven't been given the information. All we're doing is we've come together and compiled the information, and we've put the program together, and we've researched and put the supplements together that if you follow the program, and I love the fact that, and I appreciate you sharing that, if you follow it, you will see the difference. You said that you found the difference when you did it a few months ago, and if you did it with Chef Aki, chances are it may be in our supplements. I'm not sure which ones you bought exactly, but that's something that's really important we want to share with everyone on the call today, is that
2 or 3 years ago, somewhere around there.
it was which one, sorry?
Somewhere around, I want to say it's been about a year or 2, maybe 3. I'm not really lapsed in. It wasn't months ago. I know
Right,
it's
yeah,
Right.
those were definitely our supplements.
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. But key, what I want to share is that you have the power to heal yourself, right? Your body just needs the right tools, and it just needs the right guidance. And you made a good point about, look, we all come from cultures mostly where meat, fish, dairy, all kind of peppers, all kind of starch. Caribbean people, it's bami and rice and peas, and they're delicious, right? But a lot of that food isn't conducive for all of us, right? And these things, exacerbate, and especially things like obesity. If you have obesity or overweight, it actually slows down your body's ability to heal itself, right? So all of these things are linked. And so Dr. Amsu, Nay Roberts has done this before. Isn't it quite simple what she needs to do to get back on the wagon, as it were, right? And I want to say something very quickly. We're going to come back to this. I didn't share this before, but everyone that's on the call today, right, that is serious about eliminating their fibroids and serious about making the lifestyle changes to help themselves do that, we will be giving you some tools and special codes and discounts so you can get our products, right? We want to create a whole new focus group. We do this all day, every day. However, if you join these types of calls, we really appreciate that, because this kind of interaction actually helps us build our program. And so to sort of give back, we will be giving some discounts and things like that for you guys to get back on. So someone like you, Nay, you just need to get back on it. You just need to get back on it. And I think maybe it's a good idea, Dr. Amsu, to let's talk about the book. So Dr. Amsu authored the book, The Got Fibroids, the Fibroid Elimination Bible, some years ago. And it's a bestseller. And it's a book that thousands of women, either in hard copy or in ebook, have used, followed the program in this book, use our supplements, and have eradicated their fibroids, have relieved or eliminated their symptoms around endo, around adenomyosis, PCOS issues, other cysts, other inflammatory diseases, and estrogen dominant illnesses. It's proven. We have the testimonies to prove it. We'll give out a link. You guys can go on the site and you can look through. You can go to our YouTube. We've got dozens of videos on our YouTube from women. Even some women are shy to come on. They'll come on these calls and they'll give us our testimony. We know you can heal yourselves. We're not putting it out here so we're thinking, hey, this might be a good idea. Let's start a movement. We've been doing this. We just need to get it to more people, because you're not going to get it in page 1 on your Google search. Okay. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Dr. Amsu, you're going to say?
Yeah. So the book, Got Fibroids, the Fibroid Elimination Bible, or we just call it the Fibroid Elimination Bible, right? It is a system, a process, the full process on how to eliminate your fibroids. Now, we don't like one size fits all, but it is a one size helps all,
right,
and puts you on the right path. That and what it is that one size does fit all, but it's the time, the duration that it takes varies depending on your epigenetics, right? Now, a lot of women are told that they are, it's hereditary. Fibroids is hereditary. That if your mom had it, if your auntie had it, you got sisters who have it, or your cousin, nieces got it, that means that you probably are going to get it. And that's an outright lie. It's a lie, right? There is no gene for fibroids. There are polymorphisms that make you at higher risk of fibroids. And why? Because your genetics and epigenetics dictate what is food and what isn't food. So we metabolize differently to white people. We're not different colors just because we're different colors. We're not darker skin just because, right? The hue of our skin also is a sign that we belong to a phenotype that we metabolize, we process chemicals that enter into our bodies in a different fashion, right? And there are more than one genetic polymorphism that puts us, and I say us, meaning black women, at higher risk of fibroids and of endo and of PCOS, right? And PCOS is for those who don't know, is polycystic ovary syndrome, right? Puts us at higher risk. And one of those things as well is what we call cytochromes, right? In fact, CYP19A1 is a cytochrome, genetic cytochrome, which is the production of this enzyme called aromatase, right? Aromatase. R. A-R.
Phonetically, you're right here.
A-R-O-M-A-T-A-S-E, aromatase, right? It's an enzyme. Now, what does aromatase do? Aromatase converts androgens into estrogens. So we have this abundance in production of this enzyme that converts androgens such as testosterone into estrogens. And when it converts it into estrogen, now we have all these estrogen receptors that are so highly sensitive to estrogen that it takes estrogen and causes inflammation. Aromatase is also part in the pathway of inflammatory proteins, right? So it also causes an inflammatory response, right? Aromatase is triggered by certain foods and substances that we eat, all right? And then there's metabolism. Our metabolism, we as black people, there are two, and I'm being oversimplifying this situation. With metabolism, there's two types of metabolism that takes place when we eat food and we're trying to make energy from it. One is called hydroxylation, the other one is methylation. Hydroxylation actually increases the potency of estrogen, right? Or estrogenic substances, right? And we're going to go into estrogenic substances a little later, right? Methylation, proper methylation, which is regulated methylation, actually reduces and inhibits the effects of estrogenic foods and estrogen in the body. Now, guess which one we, as black people, tend to do in our metabolism? Hydroxylation or methylation? Show of hands. Somebody want to answer that? As a guess, which one out of hydroxylation and methylation do you believe black people perform?
Well, we take him to school here, Doctor. I'm saying.
All right, seeing as we have no show of hands, hard crowd, tough crowd and all that, right?
Well, no one's unmuted their cameras.
Hydroxylation, everybody.
Yeah.
So there's what we call a triple whammy, right? So not only do we have more estrogen receptor alpha activity and how our estrogen receptor alpha processes the sensitivity to estrogen, we also produce more aromatase enzyme that converts testosterone and progesterone into estrogen, into estradiol. And then when we do eat foods, we tend to hydroxylate, which make them, estrogenic foods more potent. So our bodies are basically in a frenzy when it comes to estrogen. Our bodies are in a frenzy. So black women, it's like you are at war. And when you are given birth control, your body is like, oh, so you want more estrogen then? All right, I'm going to put that to use. How about these fibroids? How about these ovarian cysts? How about some endometriosis? And they'll even prescribe, and here's the bad thing about it, they'll prescribe birth control if you have fibroids so that it tries to inhibit pain, dull down pain, or to, stop bleeding. And it actually feeds your fibroids. Right? So,
Dr. Amsi, again, a great breakdown again. So, Nay, again, with you along with Ayana, please don't go anywhere. We'd love to hear some more questions from you too. Janice, I know you had some technical issues. I see you sitting in the shade there. You're trying to be slick on us so I can't see you.
No,
but we know who you are, Miss Thorpe.
Bright lights. I switched to brighter lights.
Oh, you switched to a brighter light. Okay.
Yes.
So Janice, welcome. Is this your first time on one of our calls, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, greetings. Welcome to the call. So Janice, I think you put your hand up earlier on saying that you had fibroids. Tell us a little about yourself and your fibroid journey.
Well, when I listen to the rest, mine is not as bad.
It sounds trivial, right? But they're all.
Yeah, I'm grateful.
Right.
I'm 35. I turned 35 in December, and I don't know what's happening with this year, but for 25 golden years, I never had any issues at all with my period, regular every month, the usual 5-6 days. I've been on contraceptives because I have decided not to have a child as yet, so it wasn't prescribed to treat anything.
Right.
Well, then I found out in February that I have a few intramural fibroids. The biggest one is, I think, 2.2 centimeters, which is like a cherry.
Right.
But how I found out is that I got COVID. They say I got COVID because I live in Jamaica, by the way.
Okay.
I traveled to Florida for a usual Christmas birthday, and to return, my test showed positive. But I've had worse flu. I just stayed the 8 days, got the negative test, but I can't really say I got COVID.
Right.
Post that,
No, I think, I know, Janice, you had some technical issues. I think we've lost your audio. We can still see you.
okay.
Oh, there you go.
Can hear me?
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
Yeah. So it came up that I was muted. I don't know why. So post-COVID, every period since then has been long, and I had excessive clots in February and March. I did a blood count test because I know I had anemia history in February, which was like 11. And then whatever happened in March, it went so low that I blocked out a couple times, and then I got admitted for a low blood count. So they gave me, I think it was diazonal through IV, which stopped the bleeding. Then they switched the contraceptive to one that's called Mistral. I don't eat, so there are times when I decided to, like, I won't eat chicken this month, but from February, I haven't had any meat at all. It has not been a struggle. I really feel like I can do this and don't want any meat because I'm trying to find creative stuff to do that I don't get tired of what I'm eating. So I'm following the YouTube people that do all the fancy stuff.
Right.
But my last period that they allowed me to have, because they had delayed it because they wanted to build up my blood count, which it came back to like 11, which was good. The last one wasn't bad. I could go back to my usual type of napkins that I would use and not worrying about when I go on the road if I'm too far from the bathroom. And I had to double up after 5 or 6 days just as a precaution. But overall, I felt way better. And I think things should really get better months going forward. And I don't plan to eat any meat for now, unless I'm sure it's organic. So I know that's helping. I feel it. And I want to go deeper in it. But I don't have any pain. So it was just excess bleeding. I had no pain. I've had no pain at all with it.
Yeah. So, Janice, thanks for that story. It's funny. So you start off saying, compared to everyone else's, yours is trivial, you know, but yours is emblematic of what a lot of people face, is that they go through their years, nothing at all. How long were you on contraceptive before February? How many years or months?
Well, on and off. So before February, let's say just a little bit under 2 years straight.
Right. So for 2 years, you've been taking these contraceptives. Now, you said that after your episode, they switched it to Mistral. What were you on before the Mistral?
Minigynon. So
Minigynon,
lower
okay.
dose.
So we're going to look at the side effects of that. I think, Dr. Amsu, keep me wrong here, and Dr. Keeler's on, I know she's dealt with some of this before. This sounds pretty typical to me, right? That had you likely not been on birth control, you mentioned some dietary things, okay, but all of a sudden you've encountered this, and guess what? They've given you another birth control to try and regulate the situations, likely from the first, right? One thing they haven't done is talk to you about your nutrition. One thing they haven't done is put in a program to eliminate the root cause of the fibroids, which is what we're trying to deal with. You see, because look, we love technology. Dr. Amson and I are both scientists, engineers, we love technology. Here's the thing. Simply having technology to dull symptoms doesn't mean that we've cracked it. Technology should really be steering us towards dealing with the root causes. That's when we know we're really healing our community, healing our people, not just taking aspirins and painkillers, right? So, Dr. Amsu, Janice's situation, what does she need to do? Well, we know what she needs to do.
All right. And again, it typifies what is done, the practice of Western medicine, right? Throughout the whole Western society is this birth control situation to manage specific symptoms, but it actually feeds the root cause, and they're setting you up for a hysterectomy, right? And because of now, when did you get bad with anemia? How old were you when anemia got really bad? Has it been in the last 2 years?
No, so my anemia wasn't bad. So like when I was maybe 12, I had a little bit longer periods, maybe 7-8 days, and then it stopped. I went back to normal. So my real anemia issue happened in March because of the excess bleeding.
All right. So
this year.
Right. So the birth control has, and this is the thing, when you stop taking, let's just say you take birth control on and off for like 3 years, 4 years, and it's on and off, and you might be on it for 4 months, and then you come off it for 2 months, then you go back on it again for another 4 or 5 months, and you're off it for about a month or so, then you go back on it. Your body never stops its new cycle, right? Your body is not going to be like, all right, I'm off birth control, so everything back to normal.
Right.
It doesn't work like that, right? So your whole endocrine system has been disrupted. So the way how your glands have been programmed or deprogrammed or reprogrammed, they carry on. Now, the potency of whatever drug they give you, right, whichever steroid, the potency of the type of estradiol that they give you or progestin that they give you, it will make minor differences over a prolonged period of time. But the whole point is to fool your body into believing it's pregnant and there's no ovulation, right? Mm-hmm. And in doing that, if you check out side effects, just do a Google on side effects, where you will see things like headaches, right? You will see things like blood clots and high blood pressure, right? You will see cramps. Sometimes they can alleviate cramps, sometimes they will cause cramps. But then there's the heavy bleeding, right? Hemorrhaging. So this is all to say that your hormonal balance has been thrown out of whack. And as a result of that, heavy bleeding will ensue. And as a result of heavy bleeding, you become anemic.
Yeah.
Right? And the anemia is not only just caused because you're bleeding a bit heavy, it's also caused because it disrupts the way how your body processes minerals. Mm-hmm. The way your body processes minerals are absolutely dependent upon your hormones and how well they are balanced. So most black women are anemic. Most are iron deficient, anemic. Because unbeknownst to most black women, there is actually a conspiracy, not a conspiracy theory. There's a conspiracy to get as many black women onto birth control as possible.
That's easy. Right.
Funny enough, so the gynae doesn't think that based on the location that my fibroid is actually causing the issue. So I technically haven't gotten a root cause as yet because they're still doing tests, but all my blood tests showed that there's nothing wrong with my hormones. They're all balanced. Everything is fine. I do my pap smears yearly. I repeated one, I think a week ago, so I have that results to get. But everything else seems to be normal. My cervix is normal. My ovaries are normal. So I'm still awaiting a root cause as to what happened in March.
Janice, you just made me think of something. Dr. Amsu and Dr. Keeler, maybe you guys can both jump in on this and just help me clarify something in my mind right now, right? Is that blood work to show that your hormones are all level, they're all balanced, right? Is it likely that a blood test, Dr. Keeler, Dr. Amsu, can show that hormones are balanced, but not really identify if those hormones are having an exterior effect on any particular part of the body, right? So you may, and listen, I'm just throwing this out there. I'm just catching it, 'cause just common sense sort of thinking. Okay, blood work shows that, right? You have normal levels of each hormone.
Right.
However, it's
serum hormone level.
Right.
Right. That's what.
But it's not necessarily telling you that. Hold on. Yeah, you may have normal levels. However, your particular disposition means that one hormone or other is causing some kind of effect in your ovaries, in your uterus. Right.
So
is that
introducing Dr. Keeler?
This is Dr. Keeler, guys. She's a Dr. Keeler. Jean.
I was letting my audience know that you all are on.
Okay. Please share the link. I think you may have done. Yeah.
Yes. So you can have. Okay, in Western medicine, I have to preface this. In Western medicine, everything goes on thresholds. Okay, so you have normal, high normal, low normal. The problem is medical schools and residency programs don't teach too much about the extremes. They teach you about high or low. That's it. But when things are low normal or high normal, a lot of medical students and residents and fellows, there are different levels. You have medical student, medical resident, and then fellowship. They're not really taught to think beyond the either or. And so they don't tend to investigate past that point. Case in point, thyroid hormone. When a person can have subclinical, meaning they can have subclinical hypothyroidism. They're having symptoms of being hypothyroid, but because they're in the low normal range, I don't know what happened with my camera.
No, you're still here. We can still see you.
Okay. Because they're in the low normal range, a lot of times the physicians don't pursue past that point. You really need someone who will investigate beyond what is low normal or high normal for any hormonal marker, or whether that hormone is a fatty hormone like the steroids, like the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, or protein, because there are protein hormones that can indicate something is amiss with the uterine lining, with the uterine muscle, and with the ovaries. You need a real investigator. And unfortunately, like Dr. Amsu is an investigator. Mr. Larty, Mr. Breaks is an investigator. Mrs. Larty, Mrs. Agnes Larty, who's in the room, she's an investigator. But you don't have a lot of people who will go that far. So if your OBGYN or endocrinologist is not providing you answers beyond what, well, this is high, this is low, everything else looks normal, you have to seek a second opinion. And it will be frustrating. It will be incredibly frustrating because people that don't have the medical background don't exactly always know what questions to ask. Medicine is both a language and a culture. And you have to know the language in which to ask the questions to even find the answers, because they're there, but if you don't know where to look or how to ask for them, it's frustrating. So if you're, for instance, there are protein hormones that control steroid hormones. Luteinizing hormone coming from the anterior pituitary, which if you put a line directly through the crown of your head and between your eyes, you'll land on your pituitary gland. That hormone, luteinizing hormone, is in men as in women. If it's out of whack, it can be indicative of polycystic ovarian syndrome. that goes hand in hand with diabetes. A lot of medical schools don't teach that a lot of these endocrine disorders go together because hormones in one area of the body affect other hormones. So if you're struggling with diabetes, you also need to get checked for polycystic ovarian syndrome because it is part of the disease. Part of polycystic ovarian syndrome is essentially diabetes of the ovary.
Wow, look at that.
Right.
So there are markers that can be checked, and conditions of estrogen dominance occur in many diseases. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is a condition of estrogen dominance. Oftentimes, people that have it will also get fibroids as well, or as well as adenomyosis.
Yeah.
So you see how these things start to come together, but you need an investigator who thinks beyond surface level, who thinks beyond, well, this is high, this is low, but everything else is normal. You're
Right.
fine, go home.
Right.
That's it.
And in cases where they say you're in normal range, you're in high normal range, but it's also how the body, how your estrogen receptors are going to receive the estrogen that is in a high normal range, right? So what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. So they and when we're dealing with medicine, especially in the Western Hemisphere, there's high levels of racism. It's based upon white biology by their standards. So what is considered normal range for white women will be extremely high for black women because of how our bodies metabolize, how our bodies utilize, how we amplify the effects of given substance that may be natural and normal for white women, right? So that's another issue that we have to recognize, and in our recognition, we have to adjust our lifestyles accordingly.
Great. Listen, Dr. Keeler, thank you for that breakdown. I love that. I'd not heard that before. I'm going to make the T-shirt. You know, PCOS is diabetes of the ovaries. I mean, that's mind-blowing. And I love that correlation. And Janice, I hope you guys are all taking this information in, because Dr. Keeler touched on a good point, and Janice, you actually touched on a good point by bringing this to us. And I'm going to get to Galaxy and Kia in just a minute, is that this blood work gets done. They tell you everything's normal, but they're not telling you how you as an individual or how your phenotype is going to be expressing this stuff, which is why we're having these conversations right now. So that is very typical. People are going for checkups weekly, monthly, yearly, and being told everything's great. Then one day they go, all of a sudden they're stage 3, 4. But hold on, doc, you told me everything was great. Because again, they were just checking for surface.
They tell you that your fibroids are small,
right.
so we're just going to monitor them.
Right, you know.
And it's like, what, you're going to keep a camera on me? You got, you got some probe that, that you're going to know
follows you around
if my fibroids is growing or whatever. And that's how they get you. It's like, your fibroids are small, right? It's not having no adverse real effect on you, so we're going to monitor them. But here, take this birth control. Take this Mistral. It's like, okay, thank you. And you know, thank you, doc. Oh, you're most welcome. And then you go away. And then 6 months down the line, you go back and it's like, all right, what used to be the size of a pebble, right, is now the size of a golf ball
or something. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, look, I want to get to something in a second. I got a couple of questions in chat. People put their hands up, but I've got hands up in the Zoom. So Galaxy S8, I know that's not your real name. I know your mother never christened you Galaxy S8, but we'll take your question anyway. Please unmute your camera and your mic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Galaxy, cool name.
Okay, I didn't know. I'm not sure how to write this. Good morning, everybody. I want to say thank you for hosting this show today. I'm going to figure this out in a minute, but the question...
What's your name, first of all?
Oh, sorry. My name is Novia. Sorry.
All right,
sorry.
Novia. All right. Lovely name. Beautiful name.
Thank you very much. So my story is quite long. I'll try and condense it for you. Initially, I was told I had IBS with all the symptoms I had, like heavy bleeding, cramping, pain. And then I was diagnosed with fibroids. So I was told to have a myomectomy, which I had. I had that in 2007. And then I had embolization in 2011 because they came back. They didn't tell me at first they will come back. It was just like, we'll cut you, take him out, you'll be good. I was like, okay. And then they came back. After that, I had all the hemorrhaging and had to go to hospital. It was just like a horror scene. It was so bad.
Right.
So I kept going back and forward, and they said to me, take norethistérone, which is birth control, to control the symptoms. And they said there's so many they can't count them, and they're so big, and their location. So they're telling me now the only option is to have hysterectomy, which I was really trying to avoid. And I don't really want to go down that route, but I'm not really sure how.
Now let me ask you, Novia, how many fibroids do you have now? What are their sizes? Why they're saying hysterectomy?
Sorry, excuse me. Sorry. They said they're the size of a 6-month fetus. Okay. The size, and they said they couldn't even count them when they done the scan. They're like, they're too many to count. They're just all over the place. So they didn't give me an exact amount that was there, but the size and where they were said they were inside and outside of the lining. So it just seems like with the system that we have, they always want to gear you towards having surgery. I've had 2 already. I don't want to have any more. But my question really is there a way to get rid of them fast? Because I'm kind of just like over it now. I'm just getting really impatient, to be honest with you.
There's that question.
So is there a way that it can be done fast, naturally?
All right. So let me just jump in there. All right. So fast is, that's a subjective.
It is indeed
very subjective, right? But there is a way in which you change your lifestyle, your diet and your lifestyle, right? And you have to incorporate specific nutrients into your body.
I was going to say,
right? And eliminate the toxins. So the reason why you all have fibroids or endo or what have you, it's down to toxins and malnutrition, right?
Okay.
You might not, your belly might be full, but the type of nutrition you have been eating and ingesting has not been conducive. And at the same time, you've been filling your body with toxins and what we call estrogenic and endocrine disrupting chemicals, right? Now, what's going on with you is so typical, right? That you had fibroids and you had a surgery. They're like, look, come in, we'll take them out. Within a few weeks or a couple of days, you'll be right as rain. And, well, what else should I do? Oh, that's it. We'll take them out. They don't tell you what the root cause is. They don't tell you what you were doing wrong in the first place, right? Because your lifestyle and diet is responsible for the fibroids getting there, but they don't tell you that, right? They don't tell you how to improve anything. They'll take them out.
Recording in progress.
Right? They'll take them out, and when they come back with a vengeance. It's like fibroids come back and say, "Oh, you tried to get rid of us, did you? Well, we brought some of our brethrens with us, right?"
Yeah.
So when that happens, now you're suffering, and then they say to you, "All right, here's some birth control," which actually exacerbates and makes the condition even worse. Now you got where whatever you took out before might have been the size of like a few pebbles or whatever, right? And they took them out, and you were like, "All right, well, that was easy enough." Now, a 6-month-old baby or 6-month pregnancy, right? 6-month gestation. That's such a typical situation and scenario that you've just spelled out. I've heard it 1,000 times. And this common practice, and here's the worst thing about it, you can't even sue anybody. they set you up. All of it, all right, take this. And when it got worse, all right, look, you know what, we're going to have to do a hysterectomy, ma'am. That's not good enough.
Dr.
So
go ahead, sorry.
We have a protocol.
I was going to jump in there, yeah.
Right? We have a system on how to eliminate and eradicate your fibroids. Right? Our success rate is like 96, 97% success rate. Now, there are anomalies, right? Where it's down to epigenetics and other cofactors that, may interfere with the progress, right? And it's usually underlying some other underlying conditions that are obstacles, right? But a 96, 97% success rate, and tens of thousands of women have eliminated their fibroids naturally. Now, with yours being so large, it's going to take you a longer time. But when you start your fibroid elimination process, what's going to happen is symptoms are going to start to subside and diminish. Mm-hmm. So things like heavy bleeding, things like cramping, those things which are the irritation or the real issues, because a lot of women who are asymptomatic, a lot of gynaes will just say to them, "Oh, get on with your life. You are not having any heavy bleeding. You're not having any pain. All right, just carry on doing what you're doing. We'll just monitor them, right?" And these women are happy to get on with their lives, right? Until when they get big enough and then they start pressing on other organs, cause bladder issues, all kind of incontinence, and all kinds of other issues start to happen, right? Then the pain comes in, then the bleeding comes in. But with our program, with our fibroid detox, and we call it a detox because you are detoxifying. You're detoxifying your body from the excess estrogen. You're starting to you're balancing your hormones and other substances which also contribute, right? That are in your everyday lifestyle and diet. So there are meal plans, there are do not eat lists, there are substitute lists of foods for you to eat, as well as the magic comes in the supplements. Now the supplements guarantee the nutrients, the nutrition that your body needs in order for it to heal itself. The body heals itself. It just needs the right resources, and the supplements provide those resources, right? So how quick, if you're talking about how quick can I get rid of this large fibroid, it's going to take time. But while you're on that journey to shrinking that fibroid and to eliminate the other fibroids that they can't count, your body is going to start to balance itself and will start to function correctly, i.e. your periods will go to where they're supposed to be. Your blood flow is going to diminish.
Dr. Amsu, whilst we're on this subject, and I'm cautious of time, now this session should end at 9. We're going to try and get to a few more questions. Again, really appreciate you guys coming on. Dr. Amsu, can we just go through quickly? So what Dr. Amsu is talking about is what we used to call our fibroid elimination program, right? As related to the book, and it's what we now call the Great Black Fibroid Detox, okay? And that system, as outlaid in the book, is a system of meal plans, dietary plans, lifestyle hacks is the new word they're using, right, Dr. Amsu? But most importantly is a bunch of herbal supplements that you take during this program. And those things combined, again, give your body the tools your body needs to heal itself. There is no allopathic medicine. There's no magic pill. Definitely non-surgical, non-invasive, right? Dr. Amsu, can we just quickly run through what's in this program? And, the standard, we can talk about anemia, because we talked about anemia with a few people. I know Ayana was talking about anemia, and so was Ray Robertson thing. So, Dr. Amsu, if you mind, let's just talk to this now. So I don't want us to, can we talk about eliminate, first of all, probably?
All right, so there are 4 supplements in this program, in this protocol, right? And the one that deals with the elimination of tumors and cysts, right? There are natural ingredients, non-GMO, organic or wildcrafted, right, ingredients that kill or eliminate tumors. They stop the proliferation, the cellular proliferation of tumors, whether they are benign or malignant, right? And they're in this supplement here called Eliminate, right? I know you guys can't see the name, and it doesn't even make no difference if me holding up the bottle, but trust me, this is Eliminate in this bottle, right? This deals with the actual tumors or cysts or growths that you have, right? And even polyps as well, for those of you who may have polyps, right? Essence. Now, this one is very important. This essence contains ingredients that balance your hormones. So it inhibits the production of excess estrogen, and also inhibits the production of aromatase, right? So it keeps your hormones balanced. Again, this is called essence. This is the hormone stabilizer, the hormone balancing, and it also helps with fertility. When your hormones are balanced correctly, your fertility shoots through the roof, because that's what you were made to do, right? Women are baby making machines, right? No matter what society or the PC people in the world want to say, that's what women were meant to do, right? Is to get pregnant and have children. Your whole life was geared towards that. Medically, biologically, right? And when you start messing with that balance, it destroys you. It literally destroys you from the inside outwards. There's a supplement, the third supplement is called Blood RX. Now, Blood RX is about your blood, as the name denotes, right? It's about producing healthy red blood cells to provide oxygen and to also efficiently carry nutrients and hormones and enzymes and peptides around your body, right? Efficiently, right? Then we have Liver RX. Liver RX is to detoxify your liver. Your liver is basically the central processing unit of how we metabolize, how we take our foodstuffs and provide nutrients to organs around the body. Your liver distributes nutrients around the body. It has help from other organs such as the kidneys and the gallbladder, the spleen, the pancreas, and that. But a lot of hormones and cholesterol and what have you are synthesized within the liver. And the liver also helps to purify the blood, remove toxins, and to flush out toxins from the body. So when your liver is such a powerful organ that even when it's only operating at like 50%, it still does a great job, right? You have to really try hard and batter your liver over years for your liver to start failing, right? And we absolutely do batter our livers, right? We just, but your liver is such an important thing. So when it comes to things like the removal of excess estrogens and things like nitrogen and caffeine and those toxic substances, your liver plays such an important role in that. Your liver does so much more, but the main things are filtration or filtering out toxins, right? Removal of toxins, and the distribution, synthesis and distribution of nutrients in the body, right? And hormones, right? The fifth one that we have, right, which is optional or that you can add to your supplements, is anemia. And as the name suggests, it's for anemia, iron deficient anemia, right? Now, this ensures that you're getting iron in your diet, because we need to get iron from outside. Iron is an essential mineral, right? It's an essential, meaning that we don't just produce it internally. We need outside substances for us to produce iron, right? And through lifestyle and poor dietary choices, right, we can sometimes block iron absorption. So when you get this supplement anemia, we also send you a dietary guide, an anemia dietary guide, because there are foods that block iron absorption, common foods that you may eat every day that you think are good for you that actually inhibit iron absorption. And for instance, blueberries, right? So if you're anemic and you eat blueberries, you're actually stopping iron absorption from taking place whenever you eat blueberries, right? So that's just one of the examples. So in the anemia dietary guide that you will also get when you get, if you are anemic and you get the fibroid detox, the Great Black Fibroid Detox, and add anemia to it, you will get the anemia dietary guide. So the program consists of these supplements that provide nutrition, right? There's also what you eat, what you have to omit from your diet, what you have to add into your diet, the way you prepare your meals, your lifestyle in itself, how sedentary you may be, and how much exercise that you will have to start to do as well. We have Qigong, which is a Eastern martial arts, which is about energy movement and the way electricity and what is called meridians around your body, how you unblock those and how you utilize them to actually strengthen and tonify soft tissue and muscle, soft muscles like organs in your body, right? So that they become more efficient, and also helps to increase metabolism at the same time, how well you process energy, right? I don't know what else to say. Also identifies the root cause and,
So what I wanted to do is, I didn't want to do it at the top of the call. I really wanted to have the conversation because, one thing we're always cognizant of is that people think we're selling, right? It's a selling thing. And one day I woke up and said to myself, we are selling. We have to sell. That's the whole point. And selling doesn't necessarily mean selling in exchange for money. It's selling an idea. We're selling freedom. The supplements are just a pathway to your freedom. I was telling someone the other day, it's not what you do today. It's about it's the quality of life you want in the future, right? What you do today dictates how you live. When you retire, are you going to be retiring with a Zimmer frame and a cane, in a wheelchair, on medication with a catheter, or are you going to be that one on the bike, playing with your dog on the bike and throwing your frisbees with your grandkids? That choice is yours, and that's a choice you have to make now. You are worth it. We are worth it. Your children are worth it. Your family is worth it. And they're not even sacrifices. These are the things we need to do. We just haven't been told this. We've been told, eat burgers, you can, drink some senna tea every 90 days or something like that. It's not enough, and it's not right. And in fact, that isn't the right thing to do, because we can talk about that moving forward. But listen, guys, we really want to impart upon you, and I've shared the website address in the chat. Do your research on us. We have no qualms. We're not going anywhere. We're not hiding. Ask us any question. You can reach us. We have Moses on here. We have a 24/7, mostly customer service on our website. If you have any questions, you can ask the robot, and that robot, passes it up to us. Real people answer your questions. We have consultants. We have nutrient therapists. We have MDs. We have nurse practitioners. We have a fairly extensive team of people who are here to support us. And on top of that, we have people just like you who have been through this program, who are going through, just about starting it. Ayodele is on the call. I've not actually met Ayodele in person, but she's one of our affiliates as well. We have an affiliate program. We have a body of people who are here to support you on your journey. Okay. It's not just Dr. Amsu talking a lot of stuff. It's not just me over here looking cute and taking notes. There are active things you guys can do to help you find solutions. So listen, check us out. We know if you have fibroids that the fibroid elimination kit, the Great Black Fibroid Detox, is going to be the thing for you. It's as simple as that. If you stick to the program, people find results in the program. We've had people on the program that their fibroids shrunk in 2 weeks. They've gone to the doctor and the doctor's totally surprised. The doctor's been asking them, what have you been doing? Whatever you're doing, stick to it. But we're going to run some more tests because they're worried that something else is going on. Not realizing that that person has just changed their lifestyle and has introduced proper nutrition, proper sleep. Now, we'll talk as well. We have mental health coaches that are part of this team as well. We'll talk about stress and what stress does and how that exacerbates those particular hormones through the body as well. But we'll get to that. Listen, Galaxy S8, Novia, thanks for joining. Don't leave yet. Kia, I know you've been waiting for a little while.
Excuse me, sorry. Yep. Before you go over to Kia, I had one question. Sorry to interrupt. What is the physical sign that the fibroids are dying or they've shrunk? Would it be they've come out, or it's just that they've shrunk in size and you have to see it by the scan? How do you know that they've shrunk or they've gone?
Great question.
Great question. Okay, so while eliminating, you may have contractions, right? You may have dull or sharp pains, right, while it's shrinking. You may see clots and or clumps of flesh in, that you have in your cycle or in between cycles. Also, when you go for scans, they'll see that the size of the uterus has diminished, and also the size of the fibroid will diminish. Also, you will if you have the fibroid is causing your abdomen to protrude, it will start to go down as well, right? So there are many signs, alongside the things like cramping during your cycle, getting, that subsiding to that diminishing as well. So there are quite a few telltale signs.
Can I add something as well, guys? Not to belittle this point as well. We are talking about a lifestyle change, okay? One thing we are not doing, and we need to get into the habit of understanding, is that the quick fix, the magic pill. You see, allopathic medicine tells you, listen, carry on doing what you do every day, what you've always been doing, cut down on the alcohol and, try not to smoke. That's about it. But then take this pill and whatever's wrong with you is going to go away. We now know that to be false. We are introducing lifestyle changes. So along with your fibroids being dissipated, when you change your lifestyle, change the way you eat, what you eat, when you eat, the amounts you eat, you change your exercise habits, you get a full life uplift. Okay, that full life uplift not only makes you feel better, not makes you more energized, but it also aids in your healing. Okay, this is what is meant by holistic. So, guys, a lot of people want to press the easy button, right? And I know Galaxy Navir, you said you're done with this now. You just want to be over this. But I don't know how old you are, but it's taken probably decades for you to get where you are. It's not going to turn around in maybe 30 days. But I can tell you now, if you start today, in 30 days' time, you call back, your life will be different. Okay? It's a lifestyle change. You have to exercise all of those things. So great question. I got to get your name right. You're going to curse me out here. I've got Novia. Okay, Novia. We're going to stop calling you Galaxy Note 8. So you're going to have to go into your Zoom and change your name. So next time you come in, we'll know it's you. Okay. Kia, you've been patiently waiting. What can we do for you, Kia?
Hi. So I've been suffering with fibroids for a while, and some years actually. And I am pretty much a pescatarian, and I'll probably eat fish maybe like twice a month, and I've been this way for the last 25 years, and I still have fibroids. So when you say diet change, it's like, what can I eat? I feel like I can't eat anything.
Kia, stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there. One of the biggest, and Coach Aggie, you can jump in on this one. One of the biggest things they've taught us out there is this pescatarian thing, right? Even the vegan thing, if you take it from sort of face value. Fish is some of the worst meat you can eat. Can we get a t-shirt for that? Fish is some of the worst meat you can eat. I like that. Fish is some of the worst meat you can eat. You are generally not eating, and I'm making an assumption here, but I'm talking generally for the general public. You are generally, any fish you buy in a supermarket, if you're in anywhere in the United States, definitely if you're landlocked, is not fresh. It's generally farm raised. It's generally raised with hormones, antibiotics, mercury. It's pre-frozen, sometimes frozen. The average age of meat that's frozen and bought in the store is 4 years. 4 years is the average age of meat that you buy in the supermarket. Even if it's fresh meat, it's previously frozen. Do not believe the hype that, you know, it came straight from the abattoir to Whole Foods. No, it didn't. Even Whole Foods, okay? Now, fish is no different. They color fish through feed, okay? Let's not even talk about all the stress hormones in fish. And some fish are actually dirtier than some meat. A lot of the fish we eat that's abundant, you know, your catfish, your tilapia, your shrimp, okay? These are bottom feeders, right? These are, what's the other word they use for bottom feeders? They're scavengers. Thank you, Hakim. My son's over here. He's smarter than I am. Scavengers. Now, a lot of that stuff, the toxins in this food, now a lot of these fish can hold toxins in their bodies, and it doesn't go when you cook it. Whether you fry it, bake it, or steam it, those toxins stay in there, right? Fish have a lot more access to toxins than even some land animals. So we know things like beef and cows, you know, they feed them antibiotics when they're born. They put antibiotics inside them, the slow release antibiotics, and we know what happens in the abattoirs. But funny enough, cows are they live more controlled lives than fish. Fish are in the sea. The sea is one of the most polluted places, especially some of the fish that we eat. Again, the fish that you find abundant in the supermarkets are low-hanging fruit fish, if I can say that. Fish that can be largely farm-raised, and very toxic. So I hope I'm not ruining your dinner. But when you switched to pescatarian, you made a very conscious choice. And I want to congratulate you for doing that, because you made a choice that you believed was the right choice. Unfortunately, we're here to tell you that more often than not, that choice isn't as good as you think it is, okay? And you may have actually introduced more toxins into your diet than you would have done if you carried on eating, let's say, chicken or something. Now, they're all bad, but I'm just saying, I want to dispel that pescatarian myth. So, Kia, straight off the bat, we're going to lose the fish, okay? What else, Kia? What else do you eat? Are you into dairy, fairy cakes?
No, I don't eat any meats, and no dairy, no cheese, no seafood. I try not to eat I don't eat any bottom feeders, but I used to long time ago. Like I used to have like crab and all that, but I haven't had that in a while because of my religion and in some years. So I don't eat bottom feeders. I was eating some salmon, and I may have that like maybe like twice a month, or like some sea bass or something like that.
Yeah.
Twice a month.
Now,
or something
sea bass
like
is one
that,
of the least polluted, and salmon is one of the worst, believe it or not. Coach Aggie, I don't know if you're on, if you can come to the mic. I want you to give a very quick overview, breakdown of some of the toxins that's finding its way into the food chain, where it's coming from. Oh, are you there?
Oh, she's there.
Chi, Coach Aggie, are you there? You're on mute. I think she may have stepped away. Oh no, here she is, I think.
Hi there. Hi everyone.
Hey, how you doing? Coach Aggie, I was just talking to Kia, and Kia saying, you know, she switched to pescatarian, unfortunately with the belief that would be, you know, a way of getting away from meat. She doesn't eat any bottom feeders. And I just want you to give us a quick overview. Coach Aggie, guys, is one of our nutrient therapists, one of our consultants, and also a lifestyle coach who spends a lot of time and works diligently in detoxifying our lives, detoxifying our homes. You know, we have the supplements here that detoxify our bodies. But Coach Aggie, could you give a quick overview of which toxins and how many toxins are fighting their way onto our tables for Kia?
Well, I mean, you know, the origin of these toxins, and I'm not going to go into chemical names and everything. It's not necessarily because of the names of the chemicals, but, you know, they're finding the way into the food chain through industry, through the fact that all of these chemicals are synthetically, you know, they're synthesized from, you know, man-made products. And they're chemicals that are new as of the last, you know, few decades. These are man-made synthetics that are finding their way into our environment from laboratories. And so, for example, we have something called the water table, and chemicals are, you know, getting into the soil, you know, when they're washed through, you know, the drainage systems. They're finding their way into the water table and traveling for hundreds of miles through the water table to different parts of the country and into our lakes and streams and rivers where these, fish, for example, we're talking about fish, that's how they're becoming polluted because these chemicals are finding their way into our water cycle and so on.
Yeah.
And so, they come from laboratories and they're used in everyday items, everything from head to toe, what you're washing your hair with, conditioning your hair with, what you're brushing your teeth with, these chemicals, there's thousands.
Coach Aggie, very, very quickly, not to cut you, but can you just break down very quickly the endocrine disrupting chemicals? Because it's not just, we know there's chemicals, right? Everyone knows it, but we still use these products. But why and which, again, not sort of breaking down the names of these chemicals affect Black women, specifically their female reproductive health?
Yeah, I mean, you've said it in the title. They're endocrine disrupting chemicals. So they're chemicals that are getting into our bodies in various ways. These chemicals can be just a synthetic chemical by itself or a chemical reaction. Food that we're eating, for example, if you're using, vegetable oils to cook your food, those are altered by cooking at high temperatures, and once we ingest them, once we eat them, the toxins that come from those are endocrine disruptors. So they disrupt the hormones in your body. Hormones, endocrine are synonymous, right? And then the chemicals that we are using every day, they have multiple functions, but them being endocrine disrupting chemicals means that they produce this overproduction of estrogen as one example. So instead of there being an imbalance, it's causing an imbalance that's leading to this proliferation of these benign tumors.
Yeah. And Coach Aggie and Kia and everyone else. So, we're talking about fish. That was sort of the segue into this. The water table, and because it's the water table, it's getting into the soil, it's getting what we call acid rain, into all of those cycles. And so what it's doing is polluting not only the fish, Kia, it's polluting the plants, the vegetables that we eat, the fruits that we eat, the water that we drink. A lot of people still drink municipal water. Not everyone's into drinking bottled water, and some of the bottled water is bad as well. And then we talk about the plastics. So guys, what we're saying is that absolutely the diets are contributing to this, but our environments in general, we're living in a very toxic environment now, this modern world we're living in. And look, don't even get me onto 5G, because I'll probably get shut down for being a conspiracy theorist, but it's not our fault completely. We are, unaware of a lot of things that we're doing to our bodies, and we're even convinced that some of the things we're doing are good for us, okay? And unfortunately, this is why we're having to bring awareness to this specifically, and this is why we need the nutrients. For a long time, we've known that certain nutrients help with eradicating, free radicals in the body, shifting toxins in the body. That's what this is really all about. So each and every one of us has to become more attuned to our bodies, more attuned and more mindful of what we eat, when we eat, why we eat, how much we eat, to help with this. And that's what this program is all about. So Coach Aggie, thank you very much for your question. Kia, your answer for contributing. Kia, thanks for your question. Please don't go anywhere. I want to get to Laverne because we're supposed to be starting off at 9. Laverne, how can we help you, darling? I think, Laverne, you may be on mute.
Yeah. Question for the Eliminate Diet program. How late can you take the vitamins? Like,
how late at night?
What's the latest can you take it that it would be effective?
When you're talking about latest, you're talking about time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. You can.
Okay.
It goes straight into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
So all the and that's what we didn't mention before. All the supplements are sublingual. They're tinctures. They're liquid. You take them under your tongue. The reason why we do under the tongue is so that it goes straight into your bloodstream, right? Underneath the tongue, there are glands that allow, if you've ever taken any lozenges or whatever, there are glands under the tongue which allow absorption straight into the bloodstream. Now, the reason why we do that is that a lot of people have digestive issues, right? A lot of people have issues with their gut flora, their microbiome, where they're not absorbing minerals. They're not absorbing vitamins, right? They're not absorbing nutrients, right? So by bypassing the digestive tract, it allows these nutrients straight into the bloodstream where they can be distributed by, synthesis can take place and distribution can be performed by the liver to where it needs to go. Okay, so at any time you can take them, but we do have recommended times where you take the supplements, which is before bed, first thing in the morning, and around midday, around what would be lunchtime, right? But very important is before bed and first thing in the morning, right? And the book goes into why. Okay?
Absolutely. Dr. Keeley, you had something to add?
I have another question. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Laverne. Go ahead. Sorry.
As I heard you spoke about the blueberries and the iron, and so I cannot take the blue. But my question is, the blueberries are part of the diet, right, for the elimination program, like for your diet when you're on the fibroid elimination program?
Yes, but if you are anemic, when you're trying to get your iron, now it's not that never do blueberries ever again, like they're the devil. No, if you are iron deficient and you're trying to get iron, right, do not take an anti-nutrient factor, right? Now, iron, when your body is trying to absorb minerals and certain types of nutrients, there's a battle for absorption that takes place, right? So while you're trying to get iron, you don't want to take anything that's protein. You don't want to take any calcium. There are specific types of flavonoids, polyphenols, that act as anti-iron nutrient factors, right? So even though you might do your blueberries like in the evening, right?
Yeah.
In the evening, make sure that it's outside of a 2-hour window when you're trying to get your iron, okay? So it allows your body to properly absorb the polyphenols and the antioxidants from the blueberries before you try to get your iron. That's all.
Yeah.
But when people are severely anemic, it's like, all right, don't take these things and try to get iron at all points of the day. So it depends on the severity of iron deficiency. And you could do it like 5 hours if there's a 5-hour window before, so you make sure that you're absorbing the iron. Okay,
one last quick, can I do like for the iron, because I do that during my intermittent fasting period, and I do it in the morning, to be honest. Can I do like a full, I know you said like half of the vial 3 times a day or 2 times a day, that's the instruction. Can I do like 1 time so I can avoid any of what you're just talking about, like where I might eat maybe not like 2 hours directly after 1.5 hours or so after I took it, and then it affect the absorption? Can I do like the whole vial 1 time?
No, because there's specific, you have a circadian clock. There's a circadian rhythm that why specifically the best times are before you go to bed, and we're talking around 10, right? 10 to like 12, 1, right? Depending on if you're a late bird or not, right? First AM, right? Yeah. Because of when it comes to, so as a nutritionist, right? Sports nutrition, the best time to take vitamins, right? To get your vitamins is in the morning, because there's where there's serotonin, there's also an increase, there's a spike in cortisol, right? So this is the best time to get vitamins. The best time for minerals are at night.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that's to do with your melatonin, cycle at night, right? So these are the specific times where minerals and vitamins, things that create vitamins, are in these supplements. So nighttime, 1st a.m. Afternoon is just, it's just a booster. Afternoon is a booster, but your body, while you sleep, basically your body, your cells, the mitochondria in your cells slow down to allow nutrients in and toxins out. So the permeability of your cell walls is reduced to allow toxins out and nutrients in during the melatonin cycle. So this is like the optimum time to receive minerals and specific types of nutrients. But also when you go through your cortisol and your serotonin cycle, this is a good time to get vitamins, which is and also the best time to work out is in the morning and not at night. When night is a more mellow time where your body is mellowed out, and you do not want to increase any kind of corticosteroids as your body starts to shut down, ready for sleep, so that you have a most successful time for your body to assimilate all the nutrients that you've taken in during the daytime. All right, which is why when we also with the Qigong, there's gathering yin and gathering yang, right? Gathering yin is a nighttime activity when you want to hold in energy, right? You want to hold in and process what you have in you. And gathering yang is basically expression. It's where you basically express yourself, right? And this is where you do most of the exertion that you do is during daytime. All right?
Okay. But Doctor, I'm still don't want to prolong this, but what I was asking is, like you take half of that the dropper. Can I do a full can I do a full dropper like for the iron in the morning and make it just one time?
No, all right. If you are anemic, you want to do that at least twice a day, at least, if you are anemic, so that you get the full, you get the full benefits. If you only do it once, then that's basically you've got one dosage. And again, that's the whole thing about the circadian clock. You have to take advantage of that.
Okay.
All right. So what you do is, if you want to get your proteins and that kind of stuff, right? If you do 1st a.m. and then by say midday 1-2, if you want to now do all your your protein and your blueberries and that, you can do that 2 in the afternoon, 3. And then
that's when I do that in the afternoon around that same time.
Right. And then the next time you do it will be at night. That's the next time you do your supplements and take your anemia and that.
Okay. All right.
All right.
All
right.
Thank you, Laverne.
Thank you, Laverne.
Dr. Keela.
Hi, I'll be brief because I see someone else has a question. So I wanted to just add something. Please don't think that what he's talking about is doom and gloom, because it's really not. Correcting your metabolism is a function of learning what food is and what food isn't, learning your environment, because that's where the food grows, and learning how your body operates. The irony is, if you learn the environment, you will learn the food, and as such, you will also learn how your body operates, because they all are prefaced on the same set of laws, right? Everything is energy utilization. So earlier when Dr. Amsu was talking about a lot of Black people have a lot of estrogen receptor alpha activity and sensitivity, you wonder, why is that? That has to do with energy utilization as well as heat dissipation. This is the connection. Our bones are very estrogen sensitive. In a very hot climate, you will notice no matter how short or tall people are, their legs are longer than their torsos. Mm-hmm. That aids in heat dissipation because you essentially become a radiator for heat. Your body doesn't overheat. Your mitochondria are what generates the heat in your body. So by having bones that are very estrogen alpha sensitive, when you are going through your growth phase in puberty, your body is becoming more expert in dissipating heat so that you don't overheat and cook the enzymes that are responsible for helping you utilize energy in the first place. Having more aromatase is a function of survival, particularly in famine. Aromatase is mostly in the fatty tissue. When you are in times of famine, as many of our ancestors have been over the course of millennia that we've been on the planet, you need that fatty tissue to regulate energy utilization so you don't die. That's why the aromatase is there. So it's not gloom and doom. The hydroxylation, as he mentioned before, adjusts the energy utilization at the level of your DNA, your genetic code, how it expresses itself and helps you to adapt to your environment. And then lastly, methylation helps turn off genes that are not necessary in times of stress and helps activate genes that are necessary in times of plenty. So why is that important? Your fruits, more so than your vegetables, are methyl donating foods. They're high in methyl groups. And when you have access to high methyl groups, a lot of fruits, it acts to adjust your genetic activity, your DNA, so that it calms down genes that react to stress and amps up genes that are adapted to when healthy food is plentiful. So all of these things do make sense. It is not doom and gloom. We have been here so long and we have experienced so much that our bodies are more plastic, more pliable. Our DNA is almost a thinking molecule, set of thinking molecules. And if you look at it that way and you learn what real food is and is not, and what the land does, the different types of terrain in the land do, and the minerals in the different types of terrain, like I said, it's not hard. It's all the same rules. You will understand your body better. So when you are having thirst, you'll understand at the molecular level what's going on. When you're having cravings for crunchy food, you'll understand what minerals are missing. When you are having cravings for meat, you'll understand you can substitute that for dark leafy green vegetables as well as fruits, and it will help you manipulate the DNA in your cells in such a fine-tuned way. You can actually adjust your cravings and turn on the right genes to suit the right purpose in the right stressors. So don't think it's doom and gloom. It's not. We are fine-tuned. Our molecules come from the stars. They just happen to be on this planet, but the same rules that apply there apply here.
Right. And the whole reason why we say all of this is that we cannot have the same diet as Europeans. We foods that are advertised to us are based on European biology, Caucasian biology, even Eastern foods that in whether it's Middle East or China, Japan, they can eat certain foods that will have an adverse effect on us as well. So we have to eat according to our polymorphisms. Now, polymorphisms are not mutations. It ain't like we're abnormal. We are the normal on the planet. The mutations happened among them, but it becomes polymorphism. The difference between a polymorphism and a mutation is when it gets above a certain percentage of people who express the same genes, right? So there are different genotypes and phenotypes, and they all dictate the way how we metabolize, what genes are expressed, and how we process chemicals once they are ingested. So that's something that we want to make clear to everybody. We're not cursed. Some people might think, we're cursed then. No, it's just that we're eating foods that are not food for us. They're not food. They ain't food.
Indeed. Thank you both for that. Guy, we're going to go to Jade. Jade probably be our last question. But before everyone goes, I know some people are dialing off because it's getting late. I know in the UK. For those of you that joined the call, and I'm just going to go out and say it, we've created a discount code for those that are interested in getting the Fibroid Elimination Detox or the Great Black Fibroid Detox. When you go to checkout, I've shared the link in the chat, and I'll share it again in a second to the Fibroid. Enter the code Fibroid30. Fibroid30. Now, again, I'll put the link in the code in the chat, and you'll get a 30% discount. And we'll be sending an email for those of you that attended this call, so you can use that discount code Fibroid30. And for any of the affiliates, you can pass that on as well. But again, we'll share that in the call. But we didn't want you guys to leave without getting that. We know, and we're very confident. Again, that's why we're here. We have these open calls that anyone can come and you can challenge us if you like, that this is going to be the right thing for you. That being said, we do want to give that gift to you guys. So Fibroid30, again, I'll put the links in the chat in just a second. So Jade, let's see if you can be the best question of the night. Come on.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Jade.
Hi, Jade.
We heard you for a second, then you disappeared.
Okay, so I had been taking the Oncogen, but I just found out that I'm pregnant.
Congratulations.
On the bottle, it said that only recommended by a physician to be used.
So what were you taking the Oncogen for?
For a benign tumor.
Okay. All right. So here's what you can do. And what's the size of the tumor?
It's very little. It's like a speck.
All right. So what you can do is this. And is it a tumor? Where's the tumor located?
It's in my lungs.
Okay. Now, what you can do is, now this is the thing, is that the Oncogen is food, right? And it cannot adversely affect the baby because it's food, it's nutrients, right? But what you can do is get D3, right? Get D3 and also Essence, so that Essence will help your pregnancy, will help your, make your pregnancy even less stressful, and will start to work on the tumor as well. All right.
So are you telling me should I stop taking the Oncogen and get D3 and Essence?
I'm giving you alternative that if you're feeling uncomfortable with it, but it is food, so you don't have to stop taking it.
Okay.
All right.
And I
would recommend Essence for your pregnancy.
Okay, so I'm taking D3 right now from you guys.
Okay, good.
I'm just gonna have to order the Essence.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome, Jade.
Thank you, Jade.
Dr. Amsu, I think Galaxy S8 is having a little bit of frustration with the idea of if everything is polluted, then how do we handle this? How do we get it out of the environment or out of our environment? And what I was explaining previously is unfortunately, being in a culture that is foreign to our own nature, we are pretty much African people in a European culture. We have become accustomed to convenience. But what most people don't understand is convenience is control.
Mm-hmm.
In leaning in and getting comfortable in being having everything at your beck and call, most people don't recognize that whoever is providing you things at the swipe of a finger, that's the person or the entity controlling you. If it means you have to grow your own food and find suppliers that have organic seeds for fruits and vegetables or organic trees, you're going to have to do that. Because I saw this question 3 times, and what I'm recognizing is we are expecting, by and large, simple pill popping answers. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work like that. Literally, the same level of education about science and math that our ancestors had when they were POWs and stolen from their land is the same level of knowledge you're going to have to gain willingly of your own free will and employ on a daily basis, minute to minute, hour to hour. Because what most people don't recognize is when you weaponize soil, water, and food, that is called warfare. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it is the truth. Your food, your water, your soil, your air waves, even what is supposed to be instituted as a system to help you maintain health, it is weaponized. And it's not a comfortable truth. So to stop frustrating yourself, stop looking for the simple answers. If you want to conquer a snake, at minimum, you have to think like a snake, and at maximum, you have to think like a mongoose.
Mm-hmm. Now,
you have to get comfortable with that. It's not going to sit well with you initially, but at some point, you're going to have to get comfortable with it, because if you don't, you will always be subject and oblivious to the strategies that other groups of people are using to use your assets to destroy you. One example, when people want to get rid of excess body hair, they go to a dermatologist that uses a specific type of laser. The irony is this laser does not work on pheomelanin, which gives a red color, like the color of Irish people's hair. It does not work necessarily on blonde hair. It doesn't even work on gray hair, because they don't have the right type of melanin, and gray hair is melanin deficient, specifically eumelanin deficient. You know which type of melanin it works on? The type that indigenous people to this planet have, Black people, African people. It is eumelanin. It is the dark brown, black, purplish blue hue that we have. Now that laser will vaporize eumelanin, but it won't touch pheomelanin or the absence of melanin. Now go beyond that and think. Anything you see in medicine, just like anything you see in entertainment, was developed as a weapon first. What would be the purpose of developing a laser that specifically targets eumelanin?
Right.
That is the level that you have to start thinking on. Do not frustrate yourself and ask, then what are the answers? You have to start thinking in predatory terms to protect yourself. Otherwise, you'll get hurt.
Dr. Keeler, here's the good news. The reason why we write books, the reason why there is the Got Fibroids, the Fibroid Elimination Bible, is that, okay, here's how we combat. It's a process. It's a system, right? It's instructional. So the answers that you seek are in the ebooks, or in the books. You know, we have meal plans. Here's what you eat. You know, these are the endocrine disrupting chemicals that you use in your house that you need to get rid of, right? So there are situations that we have no control over. When we walk outside of our homes and we're outside, we don't have any control of what kind of pollutants we're going to inhale or ingest. We have no control. But in our homes and on what we buy and on what we eat and on what we drink, we have control over that. And that's the instructions that we give. Because when your body is working efficiently, you will be able to filter out. Your body is a remarkable instrument. It's a remarkable machine. It always seeks homeostasis. So it's always going to try to repair itself. It's always going to try to get rid of toxins, right? But it's when we bombard ourselves, inundate ourselves with these toxins, right, with these endocrine disrupting chemicals, and they alter the way how we produce hormones and lead to imbalance. That's where now our bodies become deficient or dysfunctional, where we no longer know involuntarily, right, how to get rid of toxins that we ingest or inhale. So we have the process, and it's just having the discipline and the wherewithal to carry it out, to execute. And it does take discipline, and it can be frustrating at times, especially when you go somewhere to buy certain foods and they don't have it and you can't find certain foods, and it's like, where am I going to get that from? Those are the frustrations, right? But as far as, you know, there are a lot of companies like Melaleuca, right, that have alternatives to these household detergents and chemicals that cause so much pollution within your walls of your house, of your home. And I think Coach Aggie wants to jump in there.
Yeah, I also wanted to say that, culturally, again, like Dr. Keeler was saying, like what Dr. Hampton is saying, that, we've been conditioned to live in an environment that isn't natural to us, right? One example is saying that we are like a cactus in a rainforest. We're out of place. We're in the wrong environment for our genetics and our DNA. And so that aside, just the habits of the society, the fact that, you're supposed to eat 3 square meals a day and snacks in between, that again is also damaging us genetically as well. We just don't need to eat as much food as we eat. And so we're talking about, well, what food is good to eat? And, what are we supposed to eat? One thing we need to remember to do is fast. Our ancestors went for days, if not weeks, without eating to allow the body to detoxify and cleanse itself. And it might not have been consciously doing it, but it was their way. And we need to go back to that way of operating, where we don't have to eat every single mealtime and every single day even. And that's foreign. To hear that is like, what do you mean? I can't go for 2 or 3 days without food. I need to eat every day, and you just don't. And I'm not trying to brag, but I'm actually on my 27th day of a water fast, and I don't feel hungry. I don't have any cravings. I have more energy than I've ever had before. It might be because I had a lot of fat stores, but the reality is that our body just doesn't require food every day. So that's one thing that people have to wrap their heads around. Detoxing is something that you should do regularly throughout the year. Go for periods of time where you don't eat, maybe once every 3 months, and you'll see a lot of resolution of your symptoms, a regression of your fibroids, and all of these conditions that we're dealing with, because eating food spikes insulin, doesn't matter whether it's carbohydrates or protein. And so insulin is not something that we're supposed to be producing every day or every few hours. And so there's a lot that we can learn. That's why we convene in forums like this, so that we can learn to try to kind of adapt back to the natural way that our ancestors operated.
Absolutely.
That's what I wanted to say.
Right. And this is the thing with Western culture, or this new TV culture, right? of snacking all day, right? So your body produces insulin for the whole day. So we're talking about like 18 hours, 16 to 18 hours of non-stop insulin. And insulin looks to store energy, right? Insulin's job is to store energy, not to utilize energy, right? It's to store it. So that's where the storing of energy produces fat, right? And we're in this culture of snacking constantly. So one of the ways in which our bodies will operate efficiently is through intermittent fasting. Fasting and intermittent fasting, where we don't eat for 18 hours. We have a minimum of an 18-hour window where we don't eat. And this actually, when we do intermittent fasting and fasting practices, we actually inhibit the production of ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone, right? So your cravings disappear as well. And, we can have because we got to get off this now, we're going to invite all you ladies back for another talk where we can have more questions and we can give you more information on the lifestyle and on things that you have in your lifestyle which are promoting or feeding your fibroids that you need to give up. So
absolutely. Well, listen, guys, Dr. Keeler, Coach Aggie, Ayodele, I know you didn't get to speak. Everyone that's joined the call today, first-time listeners, first-time dialers, those of you that join us all the time, we really want to thank you and appreciate you coming on. We want to do this, but, it's pointless if you guys don't join. We love the questions. We love the stories. Congratulations. Everyone's having a baby. Condolences to anyone who's had any sort of misfortune in their life. The beautiful thing is that if you are here, there is a pathway to healing, regardless of what it is. If you're breathing, you have a pulse, you have blood, running through you, coursing through your veins is the term they use. There is an opportunity to heal, and we want to introduce you guys to that. So listen, Dr. Amsi, final words. 21 words or less.
21 words or less. Yeah, if you don't have the Great Black Fibroid Detox, make sure you get it. Make sure you get the, in that comes the meal plans as well as the Fibroid Elimination Bible. And start healing. Let's start healing, ladies.
Absolutely. So listen, guys, you got the code in there. It's go to greatblackdetox.com/fibroids, and at checkout, put in the code fibroids30. That's 30% off. Trust me, it's amazing. You are worth it. This thing could cost 5 times as much as it does, but we've priced it this way to get it to as many people as possible. Dr. Keeler, final words from you at all? Dr. Keeler's done. Okay. Appreciate you guys. And Coach Aggie, I know you just wrapped up. No, she said no. She didn't have final words. We're communicating. We're here. Well, listen, guys, again, thank you so much for joining. Please check your emails. Take us out of spam because we'll be sending you some information shortly to invite you to our next call. We will be having a call next Thursday, which is sort of our generic clinic where we talk about pretty much everything. We like to dedicate these calls to female reproductive health issues, fibroids principally, but we talk about endometriosis, adenomyosis, as we have done. So again, check your inboxes for information. And for those of you in the app, unblock our notifications so you get notifications from the app as well. But listen, I'll stop talking. We're going to stop talking. You guys go and enjoy Friday night. Not too much drinking, I hope. We are sending love to you guys. Happy healing. Be safe. And we'll see you next week. Peace out.
All right, take care.
Thank you. Good night. Bye-bye.